one of these intro graphics.
Good cat,
I'm good, thank you.
good cat.
I think I shall. Thank you, of course. Thank you, I can use sugar. I haven't had sugar for a while. Sure.
All right, we're gonna roll here.
I'm good, but thank you.
Again, like I said earlier, thank you for this.
Thank you.
What I would like you guys to start off with on your big Post-its, and had I been more organized, I probably would have had like animals in the pot, and typically, welcome Jen, we were BSing until you got here, but.
We're parking, they said.
So you may want to give, give these, very good. Share the goodies. So welcome and thank you. On your Post-it, you and your partner, since it pairs up nicely in here, you and your partner, however you wish to separate your paper, or if you just want, whatever you're thinking about, I want you to define, like what is a project versus what is project-based learning. And you're not Googling, and you're not using like any sources, you're just using what did you bring with you today? Like, what is your background knowledge regarding project-based learning? So I'll give you some time. I'm going to write it. Write it on your big old Post-it. You can use your markers, you can make pictures.
I'm doing what Jen did it. And so we each have our own, like in our project.
It's entirely up to you. However you and your partner wish to convey your knowledge regarding the project versus project-based learning.
So we can do this, and if they have the same, or you want to
Wow.
yes.
Okay.
I'm happy about it.
Go ahead, grab it, I'll eat that.
Project has a beginning.
Yes, you learn at the same time, and this one is the same, and the teacher gives you the assignment, and that's it, right? I don't know, that's what I
Yes.
guess.
Ingredients, the project is learning. You might have more questions or instructions.
We're doing great.
A process.
I'm always sending for a project.
Assessment, and
An assessment?
teacher,
But
I don't know.
It's not a test.
Right?
I'm gonna change colors.
He doesn't do
I know, this is better.
This one kids are more like a common one. This one we just.
You got the white marker.
We did.
Yeah.
Can you see all the good stuff?
It's gonna make it.
Yeah.
Just gonna put this supplies out and make it down here at the end result.
this is the whole structure, like going the whole thing from beginning to end, a project-based
Half
learning.
the project is quarterly.
Okay.
Using
Next
the,
to it. And then at the end.
using the processes.
This is more like a process, this is like,
Trying to get great grades in the trial.
again, more like a single thing.
Structure, like
Yeah.
beginning to end structure?
Yeah. But this is like the
I
guts,
remember
like
this.
what they do, this is get from, you know,
Project basically, you not have to get a teacher up front.
Right.
This is what,
Has to be like, or
You're not
follow
necessarily.
the instructions.
So the teacher's more of a facilitator?
yeah.
True.
Yeah.
yeah, the process.
Or not simply a lecture?
All the
This
instructions. all the
is
rest.
very much longer.
That make sense then?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah.
The process
Like you
of
have
the
it.
project.
Yeah.
Mhm. Like this is at that time. This one.
Okay,
What
got it all.
services and all that stuff.
It's more,
You're not allowed to do that.
that's
Like a
right.
final outcome.
Like you are flexible. What can do? Now my question,
Now-
is the different ways to like this, that.
I was just gonna say that there's,
Project
I think it kind of things that are both, yeah.
has list of
That's
steps.
the same.
This one,
Yeah, that's what I was
these ones.
so let's,
Yeah.
we're gonna change these to bullet points.
Steps, the list of that protocols.
So, a list of results rather than.
With
Asphalt,
with.
used to be the graduation, the wheel.
Yeah.
Okay. There's no longer the wheel in asphalt. I'm so sad about that.
It's like tangible. The project is tangible, right?
Although I would love for you to keep writing and writing and writing, try to wrap up your thoughts
Tangible.
so that we can share out.
This one has the
Oh, that's true.
That's more of that, of the feature.
Could be theories, processes.
Yeah, I mean, the goal is the project, there's only.
I just
Right,
have
but
like
you get
some
it.
PD.
More than just this, like it could be,
I went to school there.
just, this is not,
Because I think that
it's a way of teaching. It's a mode.
I know, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
this
that's the
one.
word. Examples.
Okay, pens down, markers down.
Oh, can
I give you a lot more time.
Students on
Do I have a group who wishes to share first? Okay, Jen.
I came last, I'll start first.
Okay.
So for our project, we feel that it's like a beginning to an end structure. Like it's tangible, it's something that like you can like finish and like start, and it's a final outcome. Our project-based learning is the guts to get us through the process of a project and its theories and processes.
Would any other group wish to add to that group? Wow, good job, guys. Anybody else wish to share out?
Well, we do, but I think it's just, I don't know. So to us, a project, like, is a single assignment, is a teacher base,
Okay.
because I assign the project, then after they learn what they
Correct.
need to learn. It's just for us, a project is observing what I told them as a teacher to do. And they have a deadline, learning at the same time they are. And then project based, learning at the same time, but with more autonomy.
Okay.
Observe the kids as they are learning. Process the learning process, longer time of frame, because I think it is more. And then dates might be more flexible, because on a single
True.
project, I give them deadlines, while on a project base, we see as we go.
Right. So I just want to, especially for you English or you ELA people, with project, what form of speech, what am I looking for here? Like, what would project be as a part of speech?
Subject.
A noun or subject. So noun or subject, okay, it's a tangible item, I see this, here it is. How about project-based learning?
That'd be a verb.
I wrote mode, or it's a,
So if
I
we,
got to learn.
right, so if we look at the end and we're like, oh, learning, not just, let's make something pretty and present it. I do projects, I do. I think all of us, we do projects, but I also do project-based learning. Anybody else wish to share out before I keep moving? Again, I just want to make sure that I keep. Okay, just moving on. So my hope is to give you just an overview of basic intro, like what is PBL, why could you consider using project-based learning, and then where do I begin, how do I start to implement, and then some other resources on getting started. If you need a formal definition, here's your formal definition, and I will supply this whole entire slideshow, we'll put it on our Google Classroom. I'll link out I will have a Google Classroom set up. There's a whole bunch of stuff there. I'll hook you guys up with it. So when we come into our classroom, and I just want you are welcome to have this conversation with somebody close to you, whether your partner or another group. Do we give our students answers? Are we asking them to find answers, or are we asking them to solve problems? What do we ask them to do? When they come into our room and we give them an assignment, are we asking them to find answers? Or are we saying, hey, here's a problem, here's a situation?
I think it depends on if it's a standardized test. If it's a standardized test, I'm teaching to a test and answers to find. If it's a more relaxed atmosphere, like an elective course where I don't feel like I have to teach to a test, I think it depends on what the expectations are of the class. Which, it's changing,
Mm-hmm.
the tests are changing, but it's, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in lit, because I want them to at least find some connection, we often do an anticipatory set of questions, just to kind of get their opinions about various topics, you know. Is it ever okay to break the law? In what circumstances? And, you know, but when it comes to test time, they want the one answer. They're like, just tell me that one answer. And actually, what I just wrapped up my Great Gatsby with, so I could round out my focus correction areas, I said, just write about either these three guys or these two guys or these three girls, and just tell me your opinion about them and what did you think about their character, because that's a big part of it. Rather than, you know, what color shoes was Tom wearing, you know. But that's, I'm trying to get them interested, but it doesn't always work.
So, and I know, I'm sorry, go ahead, Jen.
I think traditional teaching is finding answers. I think they want us to turn that into problems to solve. So I think we just have to flip and like switch our thought process. But I think traditionally, a lot of teachers find answers to find.
Because we were pigeonholed into it though.
Correct.
all these
This is
years.
how you were taught.
Like this is
Yeah.
our age group, we are like programmed to teach a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they should give us an early retirement, kick us out and get a
And like
new
when
wave.
new ones in,
Yeah.
yeah, after
I'm all
20
good
years.
with a new wave.
I'm with you.
See?
So I do have 2 videos on this slide. I'm not going to show you the one at the bottom, but if it's something you wish to delve into more, like I said, all of this and all of the links should be good. So let me see if this guy works.
Project-based learning is a pedagogical approach that involves students in a long-term, in-depth investigation of a real-world challenge. So instead of memorizing established knowledge or following an instruction that offers a fast path to facts, students actively work on a problem that allows them to develop several skills simultaneously. To understand the difference, we can look at the experience pupils have in a conventional class led by Mr. Listen and compare that to what they take away from doing a project with Mrs. Do. The objective, learn how to engineer a tall tower. In the conventional class, the students sit at their desks and look at the blackboard. Mr. Listen first goes over some principles of physics and then instructs the students that are still able to pay attention to design the optimal structure for a high tower. When doing project-based learning, or PBL, the students sit in groups. Mrs. Do then gives each group 20 strands of uncooked spaghetti, scotch tape, a cotton thread, and some marshmallows. Then they are told they have 18 minutes to build the highest possible structure that could hold up the spongy confection. So what will the kids in the different classes learn? And what do their minds remember? With Mr. Listen, all kids might learn something about towers, a few might learn some engineering, and one could, in theory, learn to construct an ideal tower structure. But just a week later, most will have forgotten everything. Mrs. Dew's Marshmallow Tower Challenge activated the kids' brains in various areas and taught the children something about construction, creativity, physics, and teamwork. Maybe more importantly, they learned that if they failed the first time, they could try again and still succeed. They learned to learn, and even decades later, some might still remember that day. The benefits of project-based learning include high engagement and a greater depth of understanding. They practice communication, critical thinking, and creativity, and as a result, often experience better learning outcomes in general. Randomized controlled trials involving thousands of students demonstrated that project-based learning significantly outperformed traditional curricula, raising academic performance across academic disciplines. The best teachers often combine projects with traditional instruction or run what's known as active learning classrooms, so that students get to make sense of trying, failing, doing, and the theory from the educator. What are your thoughts about learning through projects? Since education is allegedly not about what the teacher covers, but what the students discover, is it the better way to learn?
Any comments?
I like Mrs. Dew.
Do you? You know, and again, I don't teach a tested subject. So, but when we go into our classrooms and we have these standards or content that we wish to cover, are we covering it for us, or are students walking out of there learning, remembering? You know, did we give them the worksheet and we can say, well, I taught them, or well, I covered this. But did they learn it? And if they learned 10 things and you covered 20, they still learned 10 things. If you covered 30 things and they didn't learn anything, okay, you still did your job. Did you? But I get it. And maybe if you're wanting to try project-based learning, try a smaller class. I know I said this earlier, I think before Jen showed up, but try a smaller class. Try a non-tested subject, try it in a place where you feel it's okay to take a risk. That would be my suggestion on starting out. I'm just making movement here, sorry. So when we're teaching our students, or if we just think about all of the people in our community and the people you run in contact with every day, what's important? What are the skills and dispositions that you think, you know, I'm contributing to this? What is important for these individuals who get out here? So if you have your cell phone, if you wish to pull out your cell phone and add, I think I put it on unlimited, so I'll just open it up for a few minutes, well not a few minutes, but 30 seconds to a minute or so. See if it works. This is, I think, maybe the second time I tried one of these, so maybe third time. But if you don't have your phone with you and you want to buddy up with somebody who just likes to start typing things in. Did it take you somewhere?
It did.
Okay, good. That's part of it, I guess. Oh. So if you see your word up there. And so if these things are important, are we teaching them? If these are the things that are important and we want our students to be collaborating with other individuals, are we setting them up in situations where we are encouraging collaboration? not just randomly talking out at them, like, but are we giving them opportunities where they can fail forward, or they can, you know, make a mistake, but, like, some of the conversation I had with some ninth graders earlier today, I'm not mentioning any names, but what did I do? What did I do wrong? I got an 89%. So it's a mind shift for us to really open ourselves up and say, hey, we're gonna give you these opportunities, can you critically think? Nobody up there put bio standards. Nobody up there put Pythagorean theorem. Nah, okay, I do use that, but so what overall, we still have our standards that we still have our standards. But if these are the things that we're like, hey, this is what we want, are we giving them those things, or are we giving them the worksheet that they can then go over, use some sort of source, photo math, whatever, copy from a friend, okay, I got the job done, I'm gonna get my 5 out of 5, my 10 out of 10, but I still know nothing, but the teacher doesn't know that I know nothing, or the teacher does know, but I haven't done any of this as the teacher. Comments, anybody want to share out? Okay, rolling back in. So, if, as far as project-based learning, the two textbooks that I use, the two main textbooks, they're up there on my desk and I have a slide for them. But, you know, you still need, I said a little while ago, you still need your standards. And one of the things I did differently this year for, I think I gave you the hard copy of the Light It Up, or Lighting with Kids, the electricity one, I think I gave you that. There were two things. One was a rubric for the triangle project, and one was the overall plan for the electricity thing. And what I had given to my students, and it's probably not in there, but all the standards that are listed in there, not just the science standards, you know, not just the PA Steels, but like there's ELA standards in there, I think I gave it to you. Yes, that one. Okay, so there are 4 copies because there were 8 individuals, so you should have at each, it's okay. You should have at each 2 handouts, and they're not related, for the exception of, hey, they were with a project-based learning unit. But the standards for the one are listed off to the side, and I had given this to them. I'm like, okay, guys, here, boom. And they're like, what are standards? You know, so I have these seniors, and they're like, what are standards? And I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about the standards. So the standards guide the project. You know, we're still there, we're guiding the project with the standards, and we have this. It's a different atmosphere, even though Mr. Palmer was moving my desk and I was cringing inside. So like the whole setup of the classroom is a little different. If we set them up in the traditional rows, vertically or horizontally, you're gonna get a different outcome. Okay, but our rooms are like that. Our rooms are tough to rearrange, and I know Jen just changed her room not that long ago. How does it feel?
I love it, except I had to get another table today because.
How many times have we been out there?
It's hard, you know, in our science rooms especially, we're locked, and you have to get so many students in, maybe 30 students or so in a small space, and like, how do we move these people around? Same thing in some of the other classrooms. I think I have this linked out, so you can check, I think, let me just go to it. Show you the link. Take you over. So PBL Works, this is where I got a lot of information. Again, all of this will be on our Google Classroom too, so if you want to copy stuff down now, you can, but everything will be linked out. So we can't just be like, okay, I want to throw together a project. Like, I want to make sure that as I'm thinking about my standards, and I have a different situation in the classroom. And if any of you walked by 7th period recently, did any of you walk by 7th period recently? No? Like today, all of my students were working before the bell rang. Before the bell rang, my students had their Chromebooks open, they were on Tinkercad, they were designing their lamps, they also had Google, like, I walk around because they know, and I gave them a digital calendar. I gave them a digital calendar. I'm just gonna show you a hard copy of my digital calendar. Prepared it on Canva, gave them an idea, okay, so you know what my expectations are of you today. They come into now can I do this with every class? No. You know, I mean, you know. But sometimes you might want to give them, just give it a shot, see, they might surprise you. It's tough going, but once you establish that culture and you are able to go, okay, I know which students maybe need a little more help, you know, maybe I need to have little talking things out, and I have some little talking papers that I wanted to put out with you guys, because I found my students don't know how to collaborate. I want them to collaborate, and I assume that they can talk to each other, but they're so used to doing this. So I have to encourage them, and so I give them, okay, now we're gonna face each other, we're gonna sit in a group, we're gonna face each other, we're gonna have some conversation. And it's tough. I'm tired, I'm tired now, but I'm tired by the end of it coaching them. I may not be up here lecturing every single day, but I'm tired because I went around and I answered maybe 17 different questions instead of what I'm staying on a traditional teacher, you know, structure. So gold standard, project-based teaching practices, something to check out. All of the things that you guys mentioned a little while ago, just kind of skim through this. Just give it a skim, I'm not going to read to you, but you know, I know that you have the students who are like, why do we need to know this? When am I ever going to use that? Those questions that have been around since we've been in school, right? Like, why? What's the point of it? And now it's like, why do I need to? Because I can go over here and somebody else already found these answers for me, and I don't even really need to think. So let's get them to use the information and to make some more connections and make it relevant. I'm just going to let this up here. I'm not going to click over to the link, but this takes you right back over to PBL Works, or PBS, whatever. And just when you're setting something up, we want to make sure that the students are heard, and then it's authentic, and then you have some sort of question in the very beginning to get them interested in it. Otherwise, you know, you have to, when you're planning your project, make sure that you've covered all of these things, because, and you know what, it's not going to work the first time, and that's okay. You just give it a shot, and you're like, all right, I'm going to reflect on this, and I'll show you some of my student work. Because I think that's the best way. Like, I can show you all these things, but it doesn't mean a lot. But if you see the students working, and you see their final, but it's really over a duration, like it's a longer period of time, to see what they've done, I think that is more meaningful. That brings us to, how are we going to implement this? And I said earlier, you know, pick a class that you teach. So pick a class that you teach that's really small. Like right now in your head, I hope you have one. Pick a smaller class, maybe a class that's not tested, not a tested subject. Or if it is, it is. If you brought a worksheet, did anybody bring a worksheet or an activity? So if you brought a worksheet or an activity with you, could you list all of the learning activities that you would be doing in this unit? Like, I am assuming, how many of you brought a worksheet? That's okay, so you brought a project. Mm-hmm. What leads me up to do this project? Or how does this worksheet fit in with the whole unit? So talk to your person again. And if you didn't physically bring something, think about what you did in one of your class periods today. 7th period, 6th period, I don't even know. Pick a class period. What did you do in that class period? And how does it fit in with everything that you're doing in that whole entire unit? Feel free to jot some things down. You can flip your Post-it over if you don't have space on the front side.
So, anyway, my ninth graders, they get a study guide for it. Instead of like on Friday, probably is like we're sitting out there playing at some point next week or pictures and help them there. And then they do that full sign and tangent, law sign, law present. And then we'll finish it out. It was like 180.
So I do hear a lot of great conversation. As you're having this great collaboration conversation, can you write some things down, either on that Post-it on the backside? Like, what would it look like? What's day one? What's the next day? What's the next day? And you don't have to be as specific as day by day, but like, what would you do first? How would you introduce this? What would you do after that? What follows that? Like, what's the progression as you work your way through something to give your students information or give them a way to find information? And how do you assess this knowledge? How do you assess their learning?
I bet. Like race cars and stuff, why doesn't it go fast?